Do you know I'm actually so tired? It actually takes a lot of energy to like push yourself. Number 5, 4. Shit. This cameraman of mine, yeah. Oh shit.
Okay.
Please.
Okay, wait.
You have to pause it.
Okay,
just
go again.
compose yourself
Alright,
and sit there.
Yeah.
Hi guys.
Sorry.
Hi guys. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you're good. Hope you're in your feels. Let's get into this video.
If you don't do throw it down. Bum high, throw it down. Bum high, throw it down. Bum high, it's like that. Bum high, throw it down. Bum high, it's like that. Bum high, throw it to the sky. Speeding in a fast lane, living large so high I can fly planes.
Okay guys, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. If you have been seeing the post and you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And if you're not a subscriber, welcome back to the channel. I'm looking down because my notes are on the floor because right now my brain is not in the place to just be remembering things off head. Hit the notification bell so that you're notified if you're like me and you're lazy and you can't just open a message or promo. Just click that button and you'll be notified when you get just like that sound there. So what are we talking about today? This is episode 2 of Chit Chat with Dzion, and I've been getting an overwhelming amount of messages saying, oh my gosh, you did the LPC, I'm doing the LPC, or I'm doing my undergrad and I'm thinking of doing my LPC, and all of these questions, and I'm here to answer them today. Obviously, it's not like I'm the LPC guru, but it's just based off my own experience, and I guess specifically tailored specifically tailored to University of Law. I went to the Moorgate campus, as I've mentioned in I think the other video I did with Beatrice and Julia. I'm gonna bring the girls back on and we're gonna do part 2 of Dzion and Friends. Our journey, so from LLB to LPC. That video will be more of an experience video, whereas this video is just more about tips and advice, because some of you are really going back next week and I've been promising this video. So my experience, yeah, like I said, is tailored to University of Law because I know that other unis have different exam modules and techniques and whatever, but in ULaw they usually do a lot of open book exams, for example, and I don't think BBB has many open books. I don't know. I didn't go there. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna just chuck out some tips and some advice, but before I do that, I'll just explain about the structure of the course. So you start off with your core modules, and then by May-Marchy times, you go into your electives. So your core modules at ULaw was real estate, business, and dispute resolution. And trust me, boy, were they interesting. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the LP is tough. It's tough because it's like complete fresh content. Like, I say complete fresh content, but it's not entirely. Like, for example, real estate, you probably study like freehold and leasehold at least, or propriety, estoppel. But yeah, you study it, and so now it's like elaborating on it, like where to look on the property register or whatever. Like, it's just more of an explanation, but it is quite new content, especially for me. I felt like it wasn't like undergrad at all. Like, it moves away from content to practice. I think that's the whole purpose of it, because it's a legal practice course. So it's a lot more practical information. So for example, if you learn, what did I learn? I learned consumer contract law, and we talked about basically taking people to court for a civil claim. And now dispute resolution, instead of learning like what grounds they're coming on, you're learning on what timing, what needs to be done before you even take the claim to court? Have you done your pre-action protocol? Have you followed your pre-action protocol? So it's very procedural, and it's interesting that way. Like every time I went to class, I felt like engaged. Like, oh, this is a new topic. Like, well, I'm a bit of a nerd, so I'm gonna love it anyway. But yeah, it was just very different in comparison to undergrad. So like I was saying with the course structure, you have your cores and then you have your electives. For my electives, I picked family, immigration, criminal, and I picked a fourth elective because I studied the LPC with the LLM, so it meant that I got to have another elective. So my fourth elective was personal injury, and so I did those four. The course is very, very intense, and they say that it's basically like a full-time job and you should take it like a full-time job. However, if you're like me and you're self-funding, it's hard to take it like a full-time job when you're practically working full-time hours, which is what I was doing at first. I was working in Lidl, and I dropped my contract from 25 hours to 16, but it was quite hard, so I dropped it all together, and then like a plum, I picked up 3 jobs. If you watched my last video, you would know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's very intense when you're working alongside it, but again, it comes with just figuring out what the course is like and fitting it into your schedule. So I'm probably just going to discuss some tips. I'm just going to probably just do tip 1 to 5, and then we can wrap this up. So you have the course, you can separate it into preparation and consolidation. So you need to prepare before you go to classes, because it's basically one shot. So you have 1 shot, okay? Once you go to that classroom, that topic is basically done, unless it carries on a little bit later on or ties into something else. But you primarily study that for that lesson. You don't say, oh, I'm studying that for this one and for this one. Like, obviously things will carry over, but that one lesson, if you haven't done the preparation for that class, you might be screwed over, because that whole lesson might actually be a question on a test. So yeah, so you have the preparation, and then you have to consolidate, because like I've told quite a few people that have asked me about the LPC, there's no really revision period. You know, in uni you had like a month before your exams from your last class lecture, but here it's, oh, you finish? Okay, exam time. So there's no real revision period, so you have to make sure you're on top of consolidation, putting your stuff together. Obviously they do revision classes, so you can have, like, I think after they've taught the content for the whole subject, then you have a revision class. That's one revision class, and that's talking about all 16 lessons from start to finish in about an hour or 2. So you can't rely on those either. So now I'm going to go into the tips. I'm going to try to keep it brief, but hopefully these are helpful to your journey. And then when I do the next video with Beatrice and Julia, we'll answer questions. I guess we could do like a bit of a Q&A plus experience video for you guys that are starting or are planning on starting. Tip number 1, do not miss out on your preparation. There were some lessons where it's like I've had to do like shoddy preparation, and you can get away with doing a bit of shoddy preparation, but that's just a bit. So for example, they'll give you chapters, and they'll give you maybe guidance to read and some preparation MCQs that are online. At University of Law, it's for the core modules, you have a 3-hour paper, then a little break, and then you come back and you have to do an MCQ paper for an hour. So the MCQs online are very helpful if you do them as you go. If you do all of these things, you do your reading, you read any guidance, and you do your preparation task, you should be okay in understanding the topic. When you go into class and you don't understand now, they have tasks in class, so workshop tasks. So you have your preparation task and you have your workshop task. And your workshop tasks will be you talking through things. So you'll be like, okay, in my prep I did this chart, but I've come here and I'm trying to do the chart, but it's not working. And then you can tidy up your notes because you realise that, oh, okay, this is where I went wrong on my preparation task. I know not to do that later. So in class you might be crossing out a few things, adapting your notes, but if you do all of the preparation and you have some sort of evidence of that, because for example I would go into a lesson and I'll prepare a little bit, and then I won't write too many notes in class because I'm actually engaging with the topic. But if you don't have any evidence for what you're doing, it's hard when it comes to put everything together, because you're like, what do I need to like show that I did this workshop? I don't know. For me, I would say definitely have reader notes typed up, even if it's just little glimpses, little summaries. And then I'd say definitely have your preparation notes and tasks typed up, because that can all go into your folder. Because like I said, you will do open book exams, so your folder needs to be patterned. And if you do your preparation MCQs, whatever questions you got wrong, you can now figure it out. So preparation is very, very, very key. If you can't do it on that night or the night before, make sure you catch up, but don't let it pile up, because like I said, there's no revision period. You can't say, oh, I'll leave that to the last minute. It will be a tight week for you. Let's just leave that one there. Tip number 2, consolidate in the week of your classes. So if you've had, or I picked to go in 2 days a week, if you're in 2 days, or if you're in 3 days, 4 days, whatever it is, make sure you're consolidating that week. I like consolidating in the week because it makes sure that I've sort of like put a lock on it. Like, I opened the box in the beginning, I looked at everything in it, and I've now closed that box and I've locked it away, and it's very tidy, and I'm putting it somewhere nice in my room. That's how I like it. If I'm carrying it on and the boxes keep accumulating, I'm going to start feeling a bit anxious. So for those of you that do get a bit anxious when it's time to prepare or go into exams, consolidating that week means that you've tidied up your notes. So what is consolidation? Before people start saying this big word, you have to tidy up your notes basically. So if you were writing in note form when you were reading, and you said, okay, disclosure must happen 2 o'clock when court, and you know what I mean, you're writing in note form. Now when it's time to consolidate, make it a sentence. Make it a sentence that you could literally be in your exam, see a question on disclosure, open it and be like, copy and paste. I mean, that is the role of a lawyer anyway. There's so many precedents, and you're learning from other judgments that were made. So you need to get good at knowing where to find information. That is what the exam is about. Knowing where to locate information and then spitting it out on paper. So consolidate. Consolidate, do the consolidation MCQs that will be online as well. And also, what's another thing? I like to do charts. So where I used to do posters in undergrad, now you realise when you're on the LPC, all the legacy notes, the LPC guide notes, which are online notes that you can purchase, all of them put stuff in charts. I was putting things in charts that don't even need to be in charts. I'll be like in a box just for the fun of it because it looks pretty. But if you know that you need like some sort of visual aids, do that in your consolidation period, and that will cover your week. Now imagine a week like that. You've done your preparation, you've gone to class understanding, you've engaged in the workshop tasks, everything, your patterns, you understand the topic, and then you consolidate, everything's nicely wrapped up. If you start like that and you are consistent, when it comes to exam time, you won't be that stressed, I promise you. Because I was a bit stressed because I missed out on certain preparatory Tip number 3 ties in with tip number 2. Organize your notes. But more than that, now when it comes to your revision period, you should focus on creating a folder. I took in 2 folders because you're allowed 2 A4 lever arch folders. One of my folders had all the workshop tasks, the actual questions, because sometimes you'll be like, I know there was a question like this, but I don't know where it's from. So you need that question paper there to say, okay, I know we did that in workshop 2, it was question B, okay, that relates to this exam paper that's right here. So it's nice to have that cross-reference because it can help you navigate your prep notes and your cons notes. So definitely have 2 folders, I would say. The second folder had my actual notes, so my revision aids and any legacy notes that I've purchased, and my Your LPC notes as well. Had those patterned, cool. So yeah, organise the folder really. Take those 2 folders in. They say you can take your book in, pile it up. If you have everything there, like obviously you don't want to over-inform yourself and have a folder where you can't even navigate. You need to have tabs.
Oh, why is your folder so heavy?
Why is my folder so heavy? She don't know the course that I just did. This, can you see that? This is my personal injury exam folder. As you can see, it is very, very colourful. When I say organise, organise yourselves. Not everyone does the things that I do, but if you want to be successful, you better start, okay? So, what's this? The first page is my spec. Then it has, I've tabulated it, so it's funding, tabbed funding. Funding, page funding, highlighted. What's another one? This is workshop 2. Vicarious liability, workshop 3. Clinical negligence, workshop 4. Limitation. As you know, a question will come up here. You'll know it's on limitation. If you don't organise your notes like this, you'll be like, now when did we do limitation? Was it workshop 7 or... Well, I've got it here. Right here. Workshop 4, okay? If you're prepared like this, guys, I promise you it's going to be a lot easier because it's already hard. And then within workshop 4, I have the different topics. We did occupational stress, we did riddle, we did EL case analysis. And then I have my MCQs printed off, highlighted, annotated, what bits I struggled with. Guys, and this applies to other, if you're doing undergrad and not just LPC, if you organise yourselves, if this is even your revision note your revision folder that you take before the exam. Tip number 4, interact with your classmates. Now, this might be a struggle for you if you feel like you're a bit socially awkward. I'm a social butterfly, so I am a bit shy, but I am a social butterfly too. I'm both. I'm a mixture. But yeah, if you are a bit socially anxious, or you're just one of those people that aren't bothered and you don't feel like you need to speak to people, boy, on this course, speaking to people can mean a lot. It can mean the difference between you putting... Do not collude with your classmates. I'm incriminating myself. Don't collude with... Tip number 5. Don't collude with your classmates on your exam papers or any coursework you were given, but definitely interact, discuss the content that was presented to you in class, discuss how other people approach the topic. Interact with your classmates, but do not collude with your classmates. Do you understand what I'm telling you guys? Do you understand? Do not collude, but interact with your classmates. And also it means that you leave there with a new bunch of friends that you can say, oh, I have these people that I met at my LPC, and there's cool people, there's people from different backgrounds, different socio-economic backgrounds, different race, ethnicity, culture-wise, it's different, but differences are good sometimes, yeah? Tip number 5, create a timetable. With everything that I've given you, all the little tips, and there are probably so many more that I might think of, but these are just the basic ones that I thought this is essential, everyone should know this. Definitely, with everything that I've told you, create a timetable. So I knew on Mondays I do this, Tuesdays I do this, Wednesdays I do this, and I now have to put that out there on paper. For me, physically, paper works for me. For you, it might be on your phone calendar. For somebody else, it might just be mentally, although I'd say drift away from mental because there's a lot on your mind already, so try and put it to paper. But when you visually see it, you can map out. I know that, okay, after 3 weeks of your LPC, you will know how long it takes you to prepare for a class. Don't try and change yourself. Someone else will say it took me an hour to prepare for this. Okay, it might not take you an hour, it might take you 3. That is you. Don't come and put somebody's stress on your own head because you'll just be putting too much pressure on yourself. So if you know you take 3 hours, find that 3 hours in your schedule. If there's no time for you to do 3-hour preparation, that is the only time that I'll say, okay, try and pattern your time. Or sometimes you might realise that, oh, maybe you're not working efficiently. So definitely self-analyse yourself, but yeah, don't come and put anyone's pressure on you. You know, now I've told you, break it down into preparation and consolidation, yeah? Put that in your timetable. Know that, okay, it takes me 3 hours to prepare, it takes me 3 hours to consolidate, and I know that I have a 5-hour shift on a Saturday. So I might have to do 2 hours of this, 2 hours of this. I know that I have 3 topics. Divide your time evenly and make sure that every topic is getting the same attention. This course is about organisation, it's about time discipline. And so if you can pattern those things, you will be successful. Like, share, subscribe, notification bell. Ooh. Love you, Dzion.